You're just sitting there. The credits roll, a timer appears, and before you decide what to do next, the next episode begins. In those 5 seconds, a server farm halfway across the country logged your behavior, updated your profile, and automatically queued up your next hour. Netflix, Prime Video, and Max prioritize retention over user satisfaction. Their engineering focuses on a single goal: keeping you inside the app. The engineers who built these interfaces understand a critical vulnerability in user behavior. The moment you're forced to make a conscious choice, there is a risk you will put down the remote and walk away. To prevent that, they rely on what behavioral researchers call the default effect. Human psychology is wired to take the path of least resistance. When an action requires zero effort, we overwhelmingly accept it, because any friction at all gives us a moment to break the spell. A 2024 University of Chicago controlled experiment tested this. When researchers disabled the autoplay feature for Netflix users, the friction of grabbing a remote caused a statistically significant drop in daily watch time and session length. What platforms market as a seamless convenience is a mechanism that makes the active decision to leave feel like a hurdle. It turns engagement into a passive default, where continuing to watch is easier than deciding to stop. The app's architecture works alongside the structure of the content. Creators and engineers coordinate to ensure the storytelling itself reinforces retention goals. Psychologists define the Zeigarnik effect as our brain's intense discomfort with unfinished tasks. When a pattern is left incomplete, our cognitive loop stays open, creating an itch we feel obligated to scratch. Netflix explicitly writes toward this psychological trigger. Today, roughly 80% of their original shows end mid-tension, cutting to black right before a crucial resolution. Here is how that loop operates. An unresolved cliffhanger creates an immediate spike in cognitive debt. Less than 5 seconds later, autoplay transitions to the next episode, providing resolution. Dopamine hits the brain's reward center, engagement is reinforced, and the cycle resets. Shows are deliberately sold to us as fragmented, incomplete pieces. Every unresolved ending creates a cognitive debt your brain feels neurologically forced to pay back by watching just one more. Even when you do decide to browse, the options you see are generated by a massive, invisible machine learning system operating behind the home screen. Take a look at these 2 thumbnails for the same movie. If your watch history leans heavily toward romantic dramas, the algorithm feeds you an image of Matt Damon and Minnie Driver. If you tend to watch comedies, it swaps that out for a picture of Robin Williams. At peak load, Netflix is processing over 20 million of these hyper-personalized thumbnail requests every single second. They do this because their internal data shows they have exactly 90 seconds to hook your attention before you get bored and close the app. The result is a highly controlled environment known as choice architecture. Right now, 80% of the content watched starts from a platform recommendation, rather than a user actively searching for a specific title. These recommendation systems aren't guessing what you might enjoy. They are mathematically sequencing your options to make a predetermined outcome feel like an exercise of your own free will. The reliance on these algorithmic loops produces a measurable physical cost. The abstract psychological engineering eventually hits the real world in the form of concrete health consequences. This graph visualizes a 2023 Journal of Sleep research study. It tracks how high binge-watching levels correlate directly with poorer sleep, daytime fatigue, and insomnia. The toll extends beyond exhaustion, consistently linking heavy usage with elevated anxiety, depression, and acute loneliness. For users who already struggle with their sleep, researchers describe this dynamic as a potential pathological chain reaction. The more tired you are, the less resistance you have to the autoplay timer, ultimately leading you to get even less sleep. These negative outcomes aren't happening because the shows themselves are harmful. They happen because the delivery system is explicitly designed to bypass your natural ability to stop. We've looked at the machinery that traps you inside a viewing session. Now, let's look at the entirely separate layer of engineering designed to stop you from canceling your subscription once you try to leave. This maps out Project Iliad, Amazon's 2017 internal system. Named after Homer's epic, this 4-page, 6-click, 15-option gauntlet engineered canceling Prime to be exhausting. The FTC identified illegal dark patterns throughout, especially confirm shaming, using manipulative language making users feel guilty for leaving. By burying the exit behind multiple barriers, Amazon saw a 14% drop in cancellations. millions of users simply gave up trying to quit. That strategy eventually cost the company a $2.5 billion settlement in 2025. In the world of subscription revenue, consumer frustration and exhaustion aren't considered design flaws. They are actively managed retention metrics. Netflix takes a completely different approach. They let you cancel in 2 easy clicks. But that painless exit is a calculated bet. They keep your profile data for 24 months, sending highly targeted emails to win you back. Within a year, 61% of those canceled users return. This timeline shows the FTC's one-click-in, one-click-out rule. Finalized after 3 years, the U.S. Court of Appeals erased it in 2025 over a minor technicality. Today, streaming services can legally make cancellation difficult, with no federal rule to stop them. But you don't have to wait for the courts. You can open your account playback settings right now and toggle off autoplay. You can also use services like Privacy.com to generate single-use virtual credit cards. When your free trial ends, the charge fails, and the decision to continue remains entirely yours. Every unskippable countdown, personalized thumbnail, and hidden cancel button was approved by an executive looking at a spreadsheet. This is a documented top-down strategy engineered to override your agency. The trap is real, but now that you see the blueprint, you can step right over it.